This is the story of Pete Smith and the night of the murder of Jimmy Williams and the events that led up to that. In the story, in his own words, after being incarcerated in prison for 10 years on manslaughter charges. Pete, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and the stories that you want somebody to possibly know that maybe doesn't understand the story, and that way your words get out, your own words?
Yes, I was 44 years old at the time. All started out as a jealousy thing. I was with a girl named Debbie Fonseca Nieto. I had to say her name.
That's
I could
crazy.
spell it, but we were broke up. She tried to make me jealous.
Yeah.
So I stayed with my cousin, and Jimmy's girlfriend was living next door on North 6th Street in Hamilton.
Yeah. Everything goes down on 6th Street.
Yes, and her name was Carmen. And started talking to her and stuff, trying to make Debbie jealous by putting her on the phone. Just got drunk, started drinking. Things led to things, and we ended up sleeping together. And she told Jimmy. So Jimmy found out, and he come over and threatened me a couple times.
Jimmy was a big guy.
Yeah, 6'4",
Yeah, he
248
was.
pounds.
Yeah.
I'm 5'7", about 150 wet, and come over. I was at a neighbor's house, and he come over and threatened me and stuff, and was asking where Carmen was, and that she had his beer, and he was drunk. And only time they were together was at the beginning of the month
Mm.
when they got their checks, and it's
Yeah. One of them relationships.
yeah. But he come over and threatened me, and went on for a few months and stuff. And he started talking to my daughter, getting her involved, which
You don't
she had,
do that.
yeah, she had no business. It was me, him,
Right.
and Carmen. It wasn't Kayla. But and it started pissing me off. But came over to my cousin Squeak's house, which she lived next door to Carmen, and talking to her, me and Renee, and ended up going home, going to go eat supper, and walked out the door. Forgot my cell phone. I didn't know. So I got home, looked at Renee, and I said, I forgot my cell phone. We have to go back to Squeak's. So ended up going back to Squeak's. And Jimmy was next door mowing the grass.
Yeah.
And so I went in and got my cell phone, come back out, started getting in the car, stopped, looked at him, started getting pissed. You know what he did to my daughter, saying to my daughter, putting her in the middle of it. And
Yeah. How old was she?
my daughter at the
Yeah.
time, probably 20,
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
21
yeah,
maybe.
it was the age. It was at an age where you needed to protect her for her own good. To
Yeah,
think that she knew her daddy would protect her, because if
yeah.
they're little,
She's
you can.
4'9", so
Yeah. So that increased the whole right there. That alone, that one little thing made the big difference.
yeah.
Obviously, though,
Oh
something was
yes,
to
yes,
become of
yes.
this, because the story is so crazy. But I'm
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
But went home, found out I left my cell phone at my cousin's house. Went back, went and got my cell phone. Started to get in the car. Looked over to see Jimmy mowing the grass. Renee said, "Don't do it," and I said, "All right," but I did it anyways.
Mm.
Went over there and grabbed the front of the lawnmower, throwed it out of the way. He punched me in the side of the head. He always wore rings,
Yep.
biker rings and stuff, skull rings. And like I said, he's a big guy. Punched me. I punched him back. Got me in a headlock. Throwing me down, throwing me around,
Yeah.
choking me, and I couldn't breathe. I had a knife on my belt.
Yeah.
Pulled it out, just trying to get him off me. Hit him in the leg, lower below the groin. Hit his femoral artery,
Mm.
and he bled out and died. Which I didn't know he died until approximately 3 hours later after I got
Oh
arrested.
gosh.
Was handcuffed to a bench. Kept asking the officers,
What was wrong?
what was I charged with and stuff, and they wouldn't tell me. And finally, one officer said, "You're charged with murder."
Oh my!
Right.
I just I have never been in that position. I can just picture the. I can feel that dread that you must have felt,
Oh yeah.
and then you say you're remorseful. I
Yeah,
don't talk to
definitely
many
remorseful.
people who are as remorseful as you've been about it. That's why I think people should hear the story, because when you initially told me, that was the key words that you used. He didn't need to die.
I
It was
didn't
a
deserve to
useless
die.
death,
Yeah. Mm.
and that we were remorseful for his family's feelings.
Yeah, I was just trying to get him off me.
Yeah, and Jimmy, and people know how Jimmy was,
Yeah,
and
cocky.
yeah,
Mm.
and
Been in prison several times.
yeah,
It's,
he was somebody not to be messed with. And so what did I ended up coming? So like did your trial and all that? What ended up happening on that?
oh, they offered me a manslaughter plea, and I turned it down twice.
What was the sentencing required?
Well, I
Like,
had 15 to life originally for murder. That's what I was indicted for, murder.
but did they like what would they say? So like they said, if you plea out to this, we'll give you this.
Yeah, 3 to 11 was
Okay.
involuntary manslaughter. 15 to life to 3 to 11, I turned it down twice. Then I thought about it. 44 at the time. If I get found guilty, I'll be 60
Yeah, that's
years
rough.
old, and I'm not going to get paroled. So I'll take that deal.
Yeah.
And they ended up giving me 10 years out of 3 to 11. I get 6 years and
Where at?
11 in correctional.
The big house,
Yeah, yeah,
the
the big one.
hardcore house.
I liked it though. I liked 11.
Yeah.
Level 3. And they moved me, dropped my security, and I went to a level 2 prison, which is London,
Yeah.
which is in London, Ohio. I did the rest of my time there, which is 76% of the population were child molesters, sex
Are you
offenders.
serious?
Yes. And I was a rape baby, so I did not enjoy that.
Yeah. I bet. Wow. And you saying that about that, I don't think I've met anybody that has ever been, you know, I don't like using rape baby,
Mm.
brought into the world unexpectedly. Um, it makes you think like, wow, why does that exist? Why couldn't have you been brought in some other way? Why did that? It's so weird how that happens, because you're meant to be here for some reason, and then your mom keeping you.
Yeah. She only had a second grade education. She can't read
Serious?
her. Yeah, she can't read or write. She's from Manchester, Kentucky, Clay County.
Clay County.
And
I always loved the name Clay.
her
Yeah.
dad took her out of school and shouldn't put her to work all her life. She worked plant tobacco, hanging backer instead of
Yeah.
tobacco,
And did
what
this
she
happen
called
in
it.
Kentucky? Where
And
she was?
yeah,
Yeah. There's a lot. I
she was
hear there's a
pregnant.
lot of that.
Yeah, she was pregnant with me when she came to Ohio. She was in a car wreck on the bridge coming from Kentucky to Cincinnati. A bunch of my cousins were in the car and got in a car wreck. They were in
It's not
a
a place
station wagon.
It's not a place you want to wreck at. Not on
On
that
the bridge.
bridge.
Yeah, flipped the car on the bridge. There
Oh
were
my
seven. There were
God.
7 of them in the.
And she's pregnant with you.
Yeah. And they used to live in
Wow.
Peck's Edition. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Peck's Editions behind the old couches.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there used to be. That's what they call it, Hamiltucky.
Yeah.
My family lived back there. So.
Wow. And so like with Jimmy's kids, uh, I know that his daughter is upset and
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been able to get over it,
Yeah, she
and
got a
you
right to
understand
be.
that.
Yeah. When I got sentenced, they asked me if I had anything to say, and I didn't write a big story
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks ahead of time and stuff. I did it the night before I got sentenced.
That's that's
So it
that's
come
good.
from the heart. It didn't come from a bunch of
Preparing.
lies and shit, So Paula turned around and looked at his mother, apologized to her, told her she shouldn't have to see her son die. You know,
Yeah.
apologized to all of his kids and grandkids. Had girlfriends stood up for me and talked on my behalf, and
Yeah.
a couple of them. And my daughter stood up. She was pregnant at the time, my grandkid, and she talked.
I bet that was hard.
Yeah, and his kids
I bet.
basically said the same thing my daughter said.
I bet your daughter, Kayla. I bet, as I think about it, probably suffered a lot on this too, because I am sure she felt like it was her, not her fault, but like dad stuck up for me, like
Yeah.
did she ever feel that way, do you think? Or did she say, I mean, she maybe not, I don't know, but you.
And when I was in prison, my ex, Debbie, she said, it's my fault that you're in prison. Well, yeah. But, I mean, I guess it's her fault. It's not really her fault.
No,
It's
yeah,
nobody's
no,
fault.
yeah, I was gonna say
There's a lot of
if you
faults.
right, because
Mm,
if you think about it, the whole alcohol was in play.
yeah.
Alcohol probably was the biggest thing because it led you to make decisions with Carmen
And,
that led into Jimmy, and um, because if you would have been sober, even if you would have slept with Carmen, you would have probably. Well, it's not like you could have stayed away. You
and,
can't not stand up to something like that in this type of
mm,
neighborhood. You're not going to get away from it. It's just the
all the
situation
taunts
happened.
and stuff. Every time I seen him, he always had some little
Yeah,
smart ass remark to say. He lived on Vine Street, so couldn't go to the Vine Street market or hang around
right.
anywhere. Every time I seen him, he's drunk and always had to
Yeah,
say something just because I was a small guy. Thought he was going to take it.
yeah, right. And so did his kids come to the trial?
Yeah, his kids were in the trial. They had
Jimmy, little Jimmy.
little Jimmy was there. He was in
What
the back
what
row.
what does he?
He's dead. He had somebody.
Oh,
he was,
that's right.
yeah, he was paralyzed in a wheelchair,
That's
and then
right.
he
How did I
tried to
forget
rob
that?
somebody, and a couple black dudes shot him.
Oh my God.
I used to see him outside in Squeak's
You
house
know
in
that
Carmen's
he
yard.
was such a. I dated
He was a
him.
heroin
I
addict.
know, but prior to all that, he just wanted a normal life.
Yeah.
It started out with just him, but when
Well,
you
his
live with
dad,
that
I
and
mean,
you live by that, and your family's code. I'm not saying the Williamses' code is to
no.
that exactly, but you don't can't escape it, man. You can't escape what your family has created. I
Yeah.
tell my son all the time, your karma is coming on our household. I what you do affects me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sometimes your family pays for your mistakes. You don't pay because it's harder. That's the lesson in it is you have to see somebody suffer, and you may not even know that's why they're suffering. That's what's crazy to me about it because you just don't know if it was is this karma that's happening to me. Did I or but that the Jimmy story is. I mean, it was flooded everywhere. It was.
And it made me look like the bad guy. I just walked over and while he was mowing the grass, stabbed the shit out of him, and
Yeah.
but, went
Yeah.
drinking. And I might have had a beer, but
Right.
just seen him and a switch flipped. I started thinking about my
And it was
family.
one stab.
Yeah, hit him in the
That's what
femoral artery in the
that's.
leg.
And when you went in prison, can you say anything come good of this?
I got the shit beat out of me by the Aryan brothers, the ABs, which was
Yeah.
I was in the cell and it wasn't good, but
How
I
bad?
took it like a man though. I mean,
How bad was it?
six of them come in the cell and beat the shit out
Why
of me
did they do that?
because cell door opened and I rolled over. I was in a wheelchair because I got degenerative disc disease in my
Oh
back.
my God! And they
And
had.
I set up, and the guy come running in and started beating the shit out of me. About three or four other guys. Only thing I could do was put my arms up, protect my face. And I said,
Yeah.
"What?" I said, "What the fuck did I do?"
Oh.
And he goes, "You killed Red Bones dude." And I was like, "Who the
Oh.
fuck's Red Bone?" And they said, "He's president of the ABs."
Linked to Jimmy.
Yeah, like, lived on the knob.
So you had to take
His
that
real name
asshole.
was Dennis something. He's dead now. He died in prison. But
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
because Lebanon's a AB camp anyway. A lot of gangs there, but
Yeah.
most of them are ABs. And it took them forever to find me. It took 3 years for them to find me.
Really?
Because I went going by Doc. They were looking
Yeah.
for Doc. And I was going by Arthur, my first name.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
So my bunkie ratted me out. So I beat him up.
You get a fucking candy bar for it or something?
He got beat up.
I mean, that right there.
And then
useless snitching.
Yeah.
Man.
And they threatened me, told me if I didn't get out of Leb that they were going to kill me, stab me, and blah blah. I stayed there 3 years.
Shouldn't they have been like walking up and down finding the chomos to do that too?
I would think so. That's what I would do.
You know, a lot of them dudes don't even probably. It's funny to me to think how many dudes that are actually fighting, and as the fight's going on, they're in their head going, "I don't even want to be doing this."
Yeah. Just,
you know, like, and a lot of people will not be honest. They think that they, um, like have to lie about their fight status, or, but really all that matters is that you don't allow somebody to make you look like a punk. If you can't defend yourself to the fullest, then do what you can to defend yourself in a way that both of you walk away. If you need to, and vice versa, I feel like if you've got to get some, if I got to get something, sometimes fights have to happen. Physical fights, hand to hand, them need to happen, and then everything's squashed. That energy that comes out is what's needed. Nowadays, I hear this time and time again from parents. I hate when I hear it. I hate when I hear, if you don't whoop them, I'm gonna whoop you. And I think a lot of kids think, well, number one, you would have to think that your parent isn't going to be proud of you if you lose, and two, that you can't lose, period, and that it's a bit that you're a bitch if you lose. No, you know, you're not. You're not.
Put a
You
Band-Aid
lose,
on
good.
it, you'll be all right the next day. Ass whipping.
Right.
I've had several.
I had my son. Listen, he was 10. I don't know. Some boys were messing with him at school. Same situation without the girls. Anyways, kid knocks on my door. Boop, boop, boop. I open it. 3 of them, little boys. We want to fight Jake. I said, which one? He said, he'll fight him. He was the littlest of the group. I said, you wait right here. And I shut the door. I run in there. Jake's watching SpongeBob. And I run into the living room. Jake, get up. He went, what? I went, you got to fight. He went, what? I said, you got to fight this boy. Why? I said, it's Colton. And Jake had been nervous going to school for like the week or two because they were bothering him at school. And I felt, when I would drop him off school, I felt like this dread for him. And I said, come on, you're all right. I know you can do it. You're good. He gets out there. He walks down the steps. Pop! Kid hits him. They fall to the ground. Boop! Jake hits his head. Little boy gets on top of Jake. Boop, boop, boop. Right? I said, all right, it's enough. And even if Jake would have been on top, I'd have enough. Even if my boy would have been winning. I said, all right. Jake gets up. He's got a little scratch right here, blah, blah, blah. I said, you're all right. We go in the house. My neighbor, why'd you make him do that, Stephanie? Made me feel like crap. Made me feel like I did the wrong thing. That night I laid down. Did I do the wrong thing? I felt like a piece of shit. Next day, Jake gets out of school. He comes running up to me. He says, Mom, guess what? And I went, what? Colton come up and apologized to me. I said, you did? He said, yeah. He said, we're cool now. And I said, so that's all? He said, well, I did tell him one thing. I told him, you're going to apologize to my mom. She's not a crackhead. You called her a crackhead. A couple minutes later, we passed Colton, you know, little Colton, smart aleck anyways, went, hey, sorry, you're good. End of that. End of that. It's a whole situation. And it made me realize then that I knew I did the right thing, but it's so hard to tell kids about that type of stuff because you don't want you want people to be able to resolve their issues because more and more people think you can't resolve shit by talking. You're not really a gangster if you shoot a gun. It's really not that cool.
Knives are personal. Anybody can shoot anybody. I can shoot somebody from here to the light over there. I mean,
there's just so many lives that are getting
guns are made for protect your family and property. If somebody comes on your land and your house, that's when guns should be used, not on the streets.
Yes. I just had to take a AR-15 automatic weapon. Listen to this. My 15-year-old, I find out he's got an AR. Now I'm not gun. I've shot a couple in Adams County, but I'm a very clumsy person. So guns for me is something I wouldn't want. Number one, I'd leave it laying somewhere, or whatever. But I find out my kid has an AR-15 something something, and I have it in my stepdad's safe. When I seen that gun that he had bought and then hid somewhere, and I had to go get it because I had found out. And I'm like, what do I do with this? What do I do with this gun? It's like $1,000 gun. And how the hell? And who sold you this thing? And there's just so many questions like, why? I don't know. It's just these guns are it's getting bad, and more and more stories are like this about Jimmy Williams. And I know a lot of people didn't want Jimmy dead, but they also had a lot of problems with Jimmy.
Yeah.
Can't really talk about the dead.
Yeah.
This isn't about this.
Hard ass.
Yeah, this
You know,
story is more about just letting the rest
he
of
didn't deserve to
Hamilton know
die.
what happened, in your words, and who you are, and your time that you did, and
First felony, hopefully last.
yeah. I don't see you getting another one. Unless you're gonna gut me right here on Ford's Park.
You're too pretty.
Yeah, I used to be. These kids wore me out. I'm 40. I'll be 41 in October. Hopefully, this podcast will keep me busy, because the one thing I don't want to happen is I noticed now that my 18, 16, 14, 15-year-old, well, she'll be 15. I don't want them to grow up and me to not have my life. Something for me, something to like get into other than social media.
Something to take from your mother.
Yeah, and
my mom taught me just how to survive, I guess, how to, she don't have, she's not book smart, she's got common sense.
I respect her already. I do. I think that right there, it was probably very hard. Probably many nights she laid there when you were crying as an infant. And I'm sure she cried with it. Like that's hard. That you came into this world hard, and your story is different. And like I said, a lot of people do not claim to have been beat up. They never want to say. I love the people who's never been beat up. Never. They've been in all these fights, never been beat up. But I honestly, and most stories there's a good ending or something in it. So maybe
take an ass whipping and go home. Heels the next day. He didn't deserve to die. I didn't mean to kill him.
And so the women in this story, what happened with them?
Carmen, I haven't heard from her. I know she
Blonde-headed
knows I'm out of
Carmen?
prison. Little short,
Carmen.
what's her size?
Yeah, she hid me out for a
No
while when I
teeth.
was a kid. Yeah. Yeah.
That's Carmen.
Yeah, I never thought I'd have to lose my teeth, but I did. I tell you, when
Still
dentist
pretty.
tells you to get a tooth, I used to have pretty beautiful teeth. They were perfect. They were perfect, and my dentist told me I had just had Jake. He said, your teeth are very pretty, except for the unhealthy inside of them.
Yeah, it's
He
the
said you
gum,
have back
the gum
tooth
part.
that
Pyrrhea,
needs.
my ex had pyrrhea.
He said you need to have that taken out.
Skin graft. Roof of her mouth, took skin off because she had receding gums. They put it on her gums. It lasted a while.
Yeah, he said you need to get the back wisdom tooth cut because it's pressing on your other ones. He said if you do not, Stephanie, you're going to be toothless by the time you're 30. And I'm like, yeah, right. So I have kids back to back to back to back, and I'm not taking vitamins like I'm supposed to back to back. Next thing you know, they start breaking off. Then I started waking up abscesses, huge abscess, and I was just always tired. I remember, and I just one day, boop, had him. Listen, it was funny too because when I don't know how we've gotten into the story, but it's got to be said. I called to cancel. I said, "Look, I got to cancel." The dentist office says you can't cancel. This is a 4-hour procedure, and why are you canceling? And I said, "Well, I don't got I said, "I got nobody to sit with the kids. I have no ride there and back." She says, "Get a babysitter. We'll get you the ride." I went, "Okay." For real? She's like, "We'll have somebody pick you up." My kid's dad gets home. I'll be damned if the damn dentist didn't pick me up. The actual dentist who did my procedure was coming into the office anyway.
I'd have picked you up.
He picked me up, took me back home. I remember he just had a brand new car, and I've got gauze, blood everywhere. And next day, I remember I woke up and I felt so good for the first time. I said, it was a joke for a long
Mm.
time. I kept telling people I was going to start a trend, get a toothless trend going on,
Mm.
because after that, my friend Becky went ahead and had hers done. Another person had his done. And the reason I think was because I made it not, and just where in our area, my neighbor on the knob, I made it to where it was like, that's not really important. It's important to have your teeth. It's important.
Mm.
But if you lose them, what's more important is you being you,
Mm.
you know? And
I agree.
plus every woman after the age of 18 should have them physically removed from men.
Mm.
I'm just joking. I'm just,
I'm 54 and I still got mine.
I'm just
I was
joking.
in prison. I thought about having them taken out, but
Why?
I don't know.
That's good to still have them. You have healthy teeth inside then. Yeah. I wouldn't have. No, I would. And then guess what happened? I won
Mm.
2 years ago, right as COVID happened. WBN, I'm going to my mother in law's for dinner, and I hear, make your mouth over contest, Kid Chris show, blah, blah, blah. So I call a few people, and I'm like, hey, they're getting this contest on WBN. People that have bad teeth, you should try to, because my dentures got thrown away at Kings Island. And
How'd you lose
that's how I lost
on
them.
the roller
Well, and
coaster?
I got threw them away on accident in the trash
Oh,
can. And so uh, I get on their website and I post my story along with a picture. And I think I start seeing all these pictures of people, and I'm like, they're not going to pick me because mine were already pulled out.
mm-hmm.
You didn't have to do that part. These people looked bad, and they were still in there. And I thought, they're not going to get picked. About a month and a half later, I get a phone call. A dude goes, "Hey, that's such and such. We're trying to get in touch with you. We've been calling you. This is Kid Chris show. You're a finalist in our contest." I went, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Tomorrow we'll let you know if you're the winner."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh my god!" I was just so ecstatic. I remember waiting next day noon. They call my. I have the. It's on video. It's so funny because
Mm.
Kid Chris is trying to talk, and you can hear my friend just constantly screaming in the background, and then me trying to talk over him. It was just funny. And then this dentist made my dentures. Um, Actually, I have them, but the tooth is chipped on it. But she made them quickly and cheaply. I was supposed to get implants,
Mm-hmm.
but COVID happened, and she owned her own little office. And she was real with me about it. She's like, I can't really afford to do that procedure at the moment right now. And it didn't tell you what you were going to get, just told you were going to get your mouth made over. So they didn't really like lie, but they also, So she said, but I'll also always be your dentist from here on out for free.
Mm-hmm.
So any teeth things that I need done, it's just my fault. I have to go get them redone. I dropped them in Florida, and you drop anything down there in Florida, it breaks immediately. I don't know what it is, but
I lived in Tampa, St. Pete for a
oh,
while.
I just flew out of St. Pete. We were in Punta
Madeira
Gorda.
Beach, Treasure Island down there.
I like it down there.
I do
They
too.
treat their
LA didn't like it.
Florida treats their homeless people a lot better. And their people down there, they live in these community camps that they take care of. Up here, people, you go into these homeless camps, that's nasty,
Nasty too.
nasty.
Yeah.
Like in Florida, my father-in-law took me to this homeless camp he stayed in, and it was like a field like this, okay, and they had little paths, and there was a leader, and then there was a cleanup people, and you had an area. There was a few little areas to do your business in, and you rotated on digging the holes and covering it up. But also, cops patrolled it too. If
Yeah.
you called and had a problem, the cops would come to your little 17, tent
No,
17,
treat you like you're human.
and the way I was, as a matter of fact, I thought, hell, I would live here. Like, because the weather's, and the way that the trees covered it, you really didn't get wet. It rains every day in Florida, but
Mm.
I just wish that I could somehow take what I seen down there and implement it up here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's why, I'm trying to start this little whole podcast thing for Hamilton is mainly to get moved up in the ranks of not anything but other than knowing certain people to get certain things done
Yeah.
for my kids to, because here in Hamilton, the one thing you got to know is people to get anywhere, anything done. It's like a mafia up here.
Oh
You know?
yeah.
But it matters who you know, and
Mhm.
the courts, they get the people that work in the court system usually have somebody in the court system already working there,
Mhm.
and but I'm glad that you only got 10 years, because that really would have been a shame, Doc, for you to have spent more time in there over that for a situation. And I'm always worried I'm going to get charged with murder and it not be me.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. It's like one of my.
It can happen anyway.
Was there a lot of people in prison that claim to be innocent? And I mean, I know a lot of
Yeah, a
people
lot
do,
of
but like really you thought were
in
innocent.
London, you know, all chomos, sex offenders.
But like,
Of course,
is
they
there
didn't
anybody
do it.
special that said like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't do it?
Yeah, there's a few people, I guess. I just admitted up what I did. I mean, it was wrong. It shouldn't have happened. Did my time. I don't think I
Yeah.
should be on 5 years PRC, but I am. So I did the whole
What
10
do you got to do?
years.
Drug tests and stuff?
I haven't had one yet, but I've only been out a month. I got out May
Oh, that's
16th.
right. I'm just, for some reason I'm thinking you've been out 6 months, so you're
No,
fresh out. When I know
not
you
even a
told me
month.
that.
Tomorrow
Wow.
will be, I think, a month.
Because your demeanor, I can still. Your demeanor is
I'm still
not,
prison. I'm still
not
in prison
paranoid, but
mode.
you're yes, yeah,
Still
yeah.
in prison mode.
What did it feel like to see cars and all that? Like, is it weird to like?
Yeah, like I don't know, hold a dollar bill or change or something. Kind of odd, or go to Kroger's and buy something.
Yeah.
Technology increased, so I try to keep up with it, but
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that somebody will hear this story and they will appreciate it or want to know the story, because especially here on the north end, there's
yeah,
tales everywhere.
it
And
was
I'm
all
sure it was.
blown out of
Oh, I'm sure.
proportion.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
sure it was. I
I
can
acted like
almost.
I was Rambo with a knife in my teeth, crawling through the grass, and jumped up and
That's what they
stabbed it.
said.
No, there's just
Oh.
different stories where I was in the bed with Carmen, and he came home, and I got up and stabbed him, and it's all just hearsay shit. But,
Yeah, it's usually what it is until somebody can tell their story, and mainly mainly just his kids who are still suffering with it.
yeah,
Dad being gone.
my mom and mine too.
Yeah, yeah, I bet
I've,
she. Yeah,
I've
cause
been called a killer,
oh man,
this and that. I mean, it hurts my feeling. My cousin called me a killer the other night. I started crying.
wow,
I'm not a killer. I
it's
mean,
remorseful. You're very
defender. I'm a
remorseful.
defender, but
Yeah,
I
and you and
don't
your
like the
daughter have a
word.
relationship, and
Yeah,
it's
talked
good
to her
still.
today.
And she's doing good. She struggle
Uh,
a little.
yeah, she's hooked on drugs and stuff. So she wasn't like that before I went to prison.
Ooh.
So I ruined her life.
Mm. What would you? If you think back to it, everything's still the same. What would you have done? Would you have tried to stay away from Jimmy?
That's what I should have done. Just stay away from him. I should have let him
Maybe.
drew first blood, as Rambo says. Because my lawyer said I could have beat the case if he wouldn't have walked, if I wouldn't have walked over to him, if he would have walked over to me, I would have beat the case.
Oh,
It would
really?
have been, yeah, it would have been self-defense.
Wow.
Yeah, but since I walked over to him,
And
is what screwed
maybe
me. Yeah.
time could have stopped a lot of the crap talking and
Mm-hmm.
crap. God, I'm won't stay up. So unprepared. I'm the worst unprepared person. Well, Doc, I'm glad you got to tell your story, and I will. Sure, we will get lots of comments on it, and maybe you can help me find other people. That way we can be my little runner. Like,
Yeah,
you want to do an interview? You want to do an interview? Tell your
no,
story?
no day goes by I don't think about it.
Well, a
That
lot
and
of people
friends.
don't admit
I
that.
lost a lot of friends too. I was in prison, lost my sister, lost
Wow.
an ex.
So nothing really
But
came
no,
good of it.
situations like that, nothing comes out.
Well, this is his Pete Smith story, and we hope you like it. Leave a comment and let us know what you want to hear more of.